if your health issues, stress, and genuine unhappiness start in your own head? Have you been drifting through life? What if you could get clear on your purpose? What if you could be the hero of your own story and not the victim? Listen to today's episode to learn about some powerful mind shifts that could change your life as we discuss Dr. Josh Axe's book, Think This, Not That. Welcome to the Jesus People Sisterhood podcast, a place where Christian single women aged 50 plus connect. I am your host, Janine Jordan, a Christian confidence coach and leadership mentor in Alberta, Canada.
And I'm your co-host, Ellie McCormick, a Christian longevity coach and mentor in the USA. Being single women over 50, we know what it's like to feel overlooked, to have unrealized dreams, to experience the challenges of singlehood, and to be concerned about what our future will look like. We couldn't find anything online for single Christian women over 50, so we created Jesus People Sisterhood just for you, a place where sisters encourage and empower one another through the last third of life, because you are a treasure trove of wisdom and of exceedingly great value. This is an authentic community, a supportive family, with other women on the same journey where Jesus is the center of it all. Here you will find real talk, real community, and real sisters.
Join us as we discuss building relationships, whole health, and growing spiritually. We'll review helpful books and articles, chat with guest speakers, share success stories, and have some laughs along the way. So grab your favorite beverage and we'll get started. Welcome, sisters, to this episode of the Jesus People Sisterhood podcast, the only podcast specifically for single Christian women over 50. Today, we give a shout out to our sisters in China. Thank you for listening. It's been a blessing to provide this podcast for free, but it does cost us to produce Jesus People Sisterhood episodes. It would be a great blessing to us that if you decide to buy a book mentioned in this podcast, you purchase it through the link in our episode show notes.
It would also be a great blessing to us if you would leave a 5-star review for us on Apple Podcasts. This helps other sisters find us. Would you like to meet up with other Jesus People sisters online? Our book discussion group starts tonight at 7 p.m. Central Time. We'll be discussing the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. This will be an informal online Zoom call where sisters will read a chapter in the book and share with and encourage one another to make the habit changes discussed. The group will provide accountability and encouragement to make positive changes and to connect us in community. A link to purchase the book will be in the show notes. If you would like to participate, please contact us at Janine and Ellie at JesusPeopleSisterhood.com. For safety reasons, you must be a member of the JPS private Facebook group to participate. So if you're not currently a member, please join. If you're not on Facebook, please let us know that. There are limited spaces for this book discussion group.
We want everyone to get to know our listeners, and so we'll be doing listener spotlight episodes as well as highlighting Jesus' sisters excelling in the last third. If you'd like to share your testimony or what the Lord is doing in your life currently, please contact us at support@JesusPeopleSisterhood.com. We would love to have our listeners come and share with the sisterhood. And now, let's get to today's episode.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're talking about a book that I recently read. I believe it can have real impact on our lives. So much so that I will be encouraging all of my coaching clients to read it. It's Dr. Josh Axe's Think This, Not That. Now, a lot of you might know Dr. Axe from his health and wellness stuff, but this book is a little bit different. It's not just about what you eat or exercise or anything like that. It's about what you think. It's a super practical and easy to read guide that shows how our thoughts can either hold us back or launch us forward. The main idea is that we all have these mental roadblocks or limiting beliefs that keep us stuck. Dr. Axe tackles 12 of them and shows how to flip our thinking from that, the negative thought, to this, the positive thought. It's a powerful approach that doesn't feel preachy or complicated.
The book's core message is simple. Your mindset is medicine for the soul. Dr. Axe explains that many of our health issues, stress, and general unhappiness start in our heads. He shares stories and examples that make this idea so clear. For instance, he talks about not just drifting through life, but getting clear on your purpose. It's about being the hero of your own story, not the victim. And the best part is that he doesn't just tell you to think positive, he gives you real, usable mind shifts. For example, instead of judging success by what you achieve, he encourages you to focus on who you can become in the process. It's a much kinder way to look at your life and your progress.
This book had so much great content, like Atomic Habits, that there's no way we could focus on all of the mind shifts that he gives in the book. So we're just going to focus on a few for this review. But we are going to tell you what the 12 mind shifts are that are listed in the book. Mind shift 1 is create a breakthrough by unlimiting your beliefs. Mind shift 2 is redefine success by becoming, not accomplishing. Mind shift 3 is become self-aware to get where you need to go. Mind shift number 4 is find a why or risk wasting it all. Mind shift 5, rewrite your role in the story. And mind shift 6 is assemble a team to fulfill your dreams.
Mind shift 7 is build an unshakable identity so no one else does it for you. Mind shift 8 is bust vices by building virtues. Mind shift 9 is turn off opinions and turn on principles. Mind shift 10 is flip the fear to turn on the growth. Mind shift 11 is visualize to realize. And the final mind shift 12, is power up your potential with positive perseverance. So Dr. Axe explains each mind shift in a book chapter and shares a think this, not that for each mind shift. Today we'll focus on just 3 of the 12 mind shifts.
So let's focus on mind shift 1, which is create a breakthrough by unlimiting your beliefs. Here's what Dr. Josh wrote in the book about the power of beliefs. Beliefs are more powerful than most of us can imagine. They may be the single greatest determining factor of what your future will look like. They play a role in whether you become healthy or unhealthy, enjoy loving relationships, or remain stuck in a pattern of loneliness, live with significance or wander without purpose. Good or bad, our beliefs influence every part of our lives.
So, what is a limiting belief? A limiting belief is a negative, often unconscious thought or story you tell yourself that creates a barrier to you achieving your goals or living up to your potential, acting as a self-imposed limitation on your abilities, the world, or what's possible for you. These deeply ingrained beliefs, which are often based on past negative experiences, can lead to fear, doubt, and stagnation, preventing you from taking action or pursuing new opportunities.
In the book, Dr. Axe tells us how he developed the limiting belief about his learning ability. When he was a freshman in high school, Dr. Josh had a teacher named Mrs. Noble. He had turned in a midterm paper and he got an F. Mrs. Noble asked him what he wanted to do when he got older. Because his mom had cancer, he had always wanted to be a doctor and heal people. So he told her he wanted to be a medical doctor, and Mrs. Noble laughed out loud. She then told him how he didn't have the grades to become a doctor. Josh didn't remember much of the conversation after that. He does remember standing there feeling utterly incapable and foolish for sharing his dream, only to have it cut down. A few months later, he was diagnosed with ADHD, which made Josh think, Mrs. Noble was right. I'm actually medically not smart. He then made it his goal to just get by. How many of us can think of a similar situation in our own life?
The placebo and nocebo effects are also explained in this chapter. We have discussed both previously on this podcast. Our physical bodies often react to things or beliefs that aren't even true. With a placebo, you believe your pain went away or that you're getting better. With the nocebo effect, the opposite happens. You believe the worst and you lose hope. Both illustrate the power of how what we believe can determine the quality of our lives.
After Josh Axe graduated high school with a very low GPA, he heard about a summer program at the University of Kentucky. If you could meet certain requirements, they would accept you into the university. So Josh decided to apply himself and attended the summer program. In his freshman English course, Josh's English teacher, Mrs. Williams, handed back his first assignment, telling Josh that he had received an A+, the highest grade in the class. Mrs. Williams asked Josh if he'd ever thought about becoming a writer. She told him he did a good job. At that moment, Josh had what he calls a memory transplant. He became aware of a limiting belief and traded it for an unlimited belief. He thought Mrs. Noble was wrong and Mrs. Williams is right. He traded "I'm not smart, there's no point in even trying" for "I am smart, I can do this." Josh went on to earn his doctorate in chiropractic medicine.
Yeah. Think this: I can because, not that, I can't because. Dr. Josh encourages us to think back to a moment when we stopped believing in ourselves or started to believe false narratives about others or the world. Once we recognize a limiting belief, we need to replace it with an unlimiting belief. The book provides a process to follow for transplanting those memories and replacing limiting beliefs with those unlimited beliefs. Dr. Axe closes the chapter with the following. Maybe your life is not what you dreamed it would be. You've made mistakes. Maybe something awful happened to you. I want to remind you that you are not your past. You are not that event. You are a unique individual with vast potential who can use failures and even injustices to move forward and flourish. It's time to shatter our limiting beliefs. As you adopt unlimited beliefs and unlock unlimited potential, you'll likely begin envisioning what you might have been created to do.
Mindshift 6 is assemble a team to fulfill your dreams. Think this: life is better with people who help me grow. Not that. Life is better on my own. Who we are with equals who we can become. According to Dr. Josh Axe, doing life with the right people matters because we become like the people we spend the most time with. We've all heard this many, many times, I think. Our social network influences what we believe, how we act, what we think about, and what we prioritize. And science backs up the truth that you adopt the habits of your peers.
Right. So let's think about that, ladies. Who are you closest to? Who do you hang around with? Of the top 5 people in your circle, what kind of impact do they have in your life? Are those people pushing you forward or are they holding you back? Many of us have heard that we will be like the 5 people we hang out with the most. But it's even more than that because those 5 people are influenced by other people who in turn influence us.
The book refers to Dr. Vivek Murthy's article on loneliness, which we discussed in our podcast episode number 2, Overcoming Loneliness, Don't Die Alone. Dr. Vivek Murthy discovered that having weak social connections is as harmful to our health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. We all saw and experienced the COVID lockdown's effect on people's mental and emotional health when we were isolated. Dr. Josh goes on to write that while being your own person and a competent one is a necessary ingredient of personal development, doing life on your own is a recipe for sadness and meaninglessness. You can go back and listen to episode 2 for more on the harmful effects of loneliness and what to do to combat it.
So think this. Who can my community become? Not that. Who can only I become? In the book, community refers not just to the people who attend the same church or gym as you. Community consists of meaningful relationships that help you to thrive and maximize your potential and help others to do the same. Together, you build toward a common good, like talking about deep spiritual ideas or dreaming about entrepreneurial ventures. In the book, the example is given of some draft horses. One draft horse, can pull about 6,000 pounds. And you'd think that if you had two horses working together, that would double to them being able to provide 12,000 pounds of pulling power. However, that's not true. Together, they can actually pull 18,000 pounds. That's something to consider. The same principle applies to human beings. You can go further and accomplish more with others than you ever can on your own.
The chapter goes on to give practical steps and information on creating a community of greatness. Think of a friend or two who shares your same purposes and values. Then pray and take steps to broaden that circle to create your community. We encourage you to follow this process to create a Jesus People Sisterhood community. Dr. Josh wrote, "Who you can become has everything to do with what your community can become together. Without a solid community made from the right people who will help you learn, change, and grow, it will be almost impossible to become who you were created to be. Imagine what your life could look like if you were surrounded by people who are purpose-driven and who pushed you to be your best. How much more would that improve your life? How much could your presence serve and add value to the community?" Janine, what obstacles do you see with following Dr. Josh's advice?
I think our tendency is to want to choose comfort, want to choose the way forward that doesn't involve us necessarily stepping out of the norm or things that we're used to. And I think it can also be difficult to admit that you need help or that some may not be favorable with wanting to be held accountable. You must step forward in humility to be able to do something like that. To be held accountable by somebody else is about trusting the group that you're with. And there's a lot of things that can pose problems with trying to find or stepping out to make that group and make that a reality in your life.
Yeah. Also, we are just tend to be resistant to any kind of change,
Yeah.
right? Especially as older people, we tend to be set in our ways and we don't want to make an effort to do anything different.
Hmm.
So that's a problem too. And it's really sad because as older people, we don't pursue growth anymore.
Right.
I think we take it for granted that, hey, if I go to church and I'm around Christian people
Yeah.
or I go to a Bible study, that that's like all you need.
Right.
How much are you really growing? Because maybe, especially if you've done that all your life or for decades,
Hmm.
we have to have a new way of looking at what God calls us to as far as learning and growing and stretching who we are to become the person He meant us to become.
Right. Yeah, well, I think we're in full agreement there, Ellie. And that is something that we need to really seek and pray about. It can have such a positive impact in our lives.
One of the
Okay.
things that Dr. Axe brings up in the book is he talks about the people to look for. And I just want
Mm.
to read that to you so to think about it. He said you want to look for hungry people,
Right.
fully want to grow, coachable people who will accept feedback and make changes, humble people who have an awareness that they always can grow and get better, virtuous people who follow the same moral and ethical principles in public and in private, and ready to pay it forward. These people will take what they learn and invest it in others. But just in that list, we have to think about, are we those people?
Right.
Are we hungry? Are we coachable? Are we humble?
Mm.
Are we virtuous? Are we ready to pay it forward? As Christians, the answer should be yes to all of those.
Hmm.
But we all have to admit we're all fallen, we're imperfect, and maybe we can answer yes to all those. We aren't. So that's one thing to start thinking about. And that's also the purpose of finding community, because when we are in community with other people, they start to make us like that, right?
Right.
It's when we're on our own that all the negative things just come to the fore because there's nobody there. There's no iron sharpening iron there,
Hmm.
and we have blind spots. So
Right.
again, I think that's one of the beautiful things about having a community and being intentional about creating a community.
Right. So don't let those negative things hold you back from seeking something that can just change your life. Hmm. So, ladies, let's not be resistant to learning and growing and finding some other ladies that would help challenge us in the way forward. So, the last mind shift we'll focus on here is mind shift 10, flip the fear to turn on the growth. Dr. Joss tells the story in this chapter of how he left his clinical practice and started his dream business of educating people in health and leadership. But the business failed. Josh wrote, after that original venture failed, I stood at a crossroads in my life. I had an important choice to make. I could fixate on the pain of the loss, give up on my dreams, and even return to my old job, or I could accept responsibility for the mistakes made, learn from those mistakes, and start over in a different way. The opportunity turned failure was one of my greatest teachers. I learned the essential business principle of failing forward, or learning from your mistakes instead of hiding from them or giving up. The failing forward principle applies to all areas of life, not just business. We can learn from our mistakes and grow, or we can give up out of fear or keep making the same mistakes over and over again. Think this: failure can lead to flourishing, not that I must avoid failure at all costs.
I initially only listened to this book, and then I bought the book and read the book. But as usual, I'm trying to save on time, so I listened to books first. When I first listened to this book, one of the things that originally stuck out to me after listening to the book was the story of Sarah Blakely. And I don't know if everybody knows who she is, but she was the founder of Spanx. And Dr. Josh tells the story in the book about how she talks about how she grew up. She tells the story of how when she was growing up, her father, this is Sarah Blakely's father, would at the dinner table every night ask her and her brother, what did you fail at today?
Hmm.
She would share, oh, I tried out for the cheerleading team and I didn't make it. And he would say, great. And that at the end of the week, he would be disappointed if they didn't have at least one story of failure that week. And that even like something like that story of not making it on the cheerleading team, he would even high five them and say, great, fantastic.
Right.
Sarah said that what it taught her was how wonderful failure is, not to be afraid of it, and this idea of failing forward, that you don't give up. What she learned was the real failure was not trying.
Right.
And that's what her father taught her. And that's why she ended up being this very successful businesswoman, because failure didn't deter her. She didn't just give up, she just kept going. And I think that's true for all of us. The scripture says a righteous man falls 7 times and rises again.
Mhm. That's right. And I think it's all through history, you can find examples of people who persevered and had lots of setbacks before they had any success. And so I just think that's very true. And I can see it in the students that I work with as well. If you just keep encouraging them, and they're obviously not all going to be successful at every point. And it's not in the getting there, it's in the doing and the processes that get you there. So it's really an important concept to learn that we are going to fail. and and that's okay. That's life and that's learning. It's a good thing to be able to to see it as not the end, but just as part of the journey.
Right. As a learning experience.
Exactly. Yeah. So these are just 3 of the 12 mind shifts from the book. Hopefully you find them as impactful as we did. We can say, right, Ellie, that we wholeheartedly recommend the book. Think this, not that.
Yes.
And we encourage you to read the book and put the information into practice. And if you're a Spotify member, you can listen to the audiobook for free. The audiobook contains some bonus interviews too with Dave Ramsey, Erwin McManus, and others. And there is a link in our show notes if you wish to purchase the book from Amazon. So, anything you want to say before we go, Ellie?
Just that I hope that what our sisters will draw from this episode and from this book is that what we think, what we believe about ourselves and about life has the greatest effect on our life. And when we can see that we do have limiting beliefs about things and that we just stay in the status quo of our life, that we are not really pursuing the life God had for us and God created us for. We are limiting ourselves, and that is not from the Lord. That's from the enemy. And so I hope that sisters will really take to heart what we've shared. And I really encourage them to get this book and to put into practice. There's so many things in this book besides telling you these mind shifts, but telling you how to change them, how to think this and not that.
Okay. So thank you, sisters, for listening today, and may we think God's thoughts and not the enemy's. Bye for now.
God bless.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. Please share any thoughts that resonated with you from today's podcast episode in our private Facebook group at Jesus People Sisterhood Community. Start reaching out to other single women and create your local group of Jesus People Sisters. Please let us know about your group to add to our directory by contacting us at support@JesusPeopleSisterhood.com.
Have you had a good experience with a business? They've treated you honestly and helped you at a reasonable price? Please let us know. We would like to start a directory of JPS-friendly businesses. Let's care for one another.
Be blessed by Him who is able to protect you from stumbling and to make you stand in the presence of His glory, blameless and with great joy. Until next time.
Hey, sister, before you go, thank you for listening. If you found value in today's podcast, the best way to say thank you is by leaving a 5-star written review at Apple Podcasts. That raises us in the rankings and helps other sisters find us too. And please tell a friend or post it on your social media. If you're a single Christian woman over 50, this podcast was created specifically for you. The Jesus People Sisterhood is your community to find support and friendship with other sisters who can understand. Be sure to follow us on your podcast app and join our free private Facebook group at Jesus People Sisterhood Community.
Jesus People Sisterhood has also started a private Facebook group for housing and co-living opportunities. You can check that out at Jesus People Sisterhood Senior Housing. You can also find us on Facebook at Jesus People Sisterhood and individually for Janine at riseupcoachingandconsulting.com and for Ellie at samaramountain.com. And ladies, this is the necessary disclaimer. Our podcast content is for informational purposes and does not constitute professional advice for mental health, medical, legal, financial, or other areas. The opinions of the guest do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the hosts. It is our heart that this podcast will be a blessing to you. Together, let's build a powerful sisterhood with Jesus. Make a friend, add a sister, across the border and around the world.